Something that happened in the 90s was ramraiding. That's not somebody stood in a field waiting for a ram to chase them. This type of ramraiding saw people nick cars and smash them into commercial properties. Sometimes looting them, other times just for the excitement of smashing something up, the property frontage and the car. Ramraiding in the 90s appeared to start in the northeast and spread across the country. Police and the government struggled to keep a lid on this modern era smash and grab attacks. So here's a film about ramraiding.
No.
You steal my car and leave me with this piece of shit?
It's for you.
Do you realise how much that car costs?
Writer-director Paul W.S. Anderson wrote this crash and carry story in the early 90s while working on the British crime series El Cid. In 1992, Anderson met producer Jeremy Bolt and they formed Impact Pictures with the sole intention of raising money to shoot Shopping, which would be Anderson's feature film debut. It was a struggle. Nobody really wanted to finance a film about such outlandish criminal behaviour, especially at a cost of nearly £2 million. Thankfully, Channel 4 Films stepped up and partially financed Shopping. Some of the other money came from a film company in Japan where, upon the film's release, it actually did very well at the Japanese box office. One of the main reasons why was because Anderson had secured Sadie Frost to play Jo, the lead female character in the movie. Frost had been receiving high praise for her performance in Bram Stoker's Dracula and was being touted as the next big British actress to cross over to Hollywood. When it came to casting for Billy, it came down to two unknowns, Jude Law and Ewan McGregor. Anderson felt Law had the slight edge with his good looks and his steely acting style. Anderson wanted to shoot the film in Newcastle, the birthplace of 90s ramraiding. But when one of the financiers dropped out, it meant they had to stay in and around London. Teesside was replaced with London Docklands. During one night on set in Royal Victoria Docks, Anderson was trying to shoot a scene involving Law and Frost's characters lying in a burnt-out car discussing the idea of going travelling. Close by were two homeless people who didn't give a shit about a feature film being shot and continued to shout at each other as cameras were rolling. After nearly an hour, Anderson was finally able to start filming again after the homeless people had stopped screaming. But just as cameras began rolling, a medical helicopter started continuously flying over their heads as it tried to land at a nearby hospital. Visually arresting and aggressively acted, Shopping has obvious similarities with Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Both were shot in the same areas of London. Both were set in slightly futuristic settings. Most importantly, they were both films about angry young people in the UK fighting back against a government slipping into totalitarianism. The distributors for Shopping felt the film was an absolute disgrace. They literally hated it. The BBFC wouldn't give the film a rating either. A couple of release dates were missed due to the BBFC not wanting to give a certificate. It just sat in their vaults, where they hoped it would die a death. When the film was released in UK cinemas in the summer of 1994, reviews were not just bad, but downright scathing. Many suggested that Jude Law was too pretty to play a bad boy criminal. Others just hated its nihilistic approach. One review said, "Shopping is nothing more than a reckless orgy of destruction." Anderson and the marketing team for the film stuck that quote on the poster. To them, it was a badge of honour. With its scuzzy look and techno and dubplate hip-hop soundtrack, Shopping's post-apocalyptic wastelands and its grungy, glamorous actors were released in every single country around the world. The only British feature film in 1994 to achieve that feat. But many accused Anderson of glamorising ramraiding. Yet there is more to it than that. Billy and Jo are a 90s twist on Bonnie and Clyde. They've substituted guns for cars. Their anger is thrown at the Thatcher generation as they thrive, while the jilted generation die. This is an angry film, and an aggressive film. Within the opening 10 minutes, Billy has been released from prison, he's met his friend Jo, gone for a joyride, nicked a BMW, and engaged in a high-speed police chase. With Billy back with his mates, he's returned the hero of the gang. Everyone knows him. When Jo asks him to go travelling around the world with her, he declines, realising that he would no longer be a face. There's only two ways out of this story for Billy: death or jail. Whereas Jo has big ambitions. She knows there's more to the world than the post-apocalyptic wastelands and the dubby techno of London. She wants to experience the world before it's too late. Paul W.S. Anderson's reputation as a film director these days is mainly associated with film adaptations of successful computer games. Yet, go back to his feature film debut and you'll find a director operating in a very honest storytelling mode. Shopping may look dated by today's dystopian standards. Look beyond that and you'll find a film about disaffected young people living in a country where they don't feel welcomed by their elders. It's a searing depiction of life in Britain in the 90s. If George Miller made a film about British youth in the 90s, then it would look a lot like Shopping. However, he didn't. That was left to Paul W.S. Anderson.
Can't take it all, man.
There could be anything down there, you know.
That's the fun of it.